Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Kassiah, this is SiahSwag, and I have just a little video for you today. I know I have shown this before, but I get lots and lots of requests to show it. So I'm gonna do it again because I was getting ready to do a pre-recorded tutorial for the Char Char because I know not everybody loves the lives. So I wanted to do a pre-recorded video for it, and I had my bag all cut out, and I am going to quilt this one again. This bag is not one that you have to quilt, but I've quilted the last 3 or 4 and I really love the end result. So I am going to show you how I like to quilt my bags. Everybody's different. There's no right or wrong way to quilt a bag. I will show you my process and how I do it. There are multiple ways you could do it. Some people like to cut their pattern pieces bigger because they're afraid they will shrink. I have found I like to quilt this faux real vinyl from Tulip Bee, which is very leather-like, and I have found that it doesn't shrink when I quilt it enough to the point where I need to cut it bigger. I'm also not doing really tiny intricate designs on this. I'm just doing 1.5 by 1.5 blocks. So it's nice and spread out. It doesn't pull the material in that I have found. So I cut my pieces to the same size as the patterns. I'm gonna draw with a silver marking pen. It's mainly used for leather and vinyl. It wipes off with a wipe or a watered paper towel. But you can draw all your lines on your pieces and then go quilt it and then wipe it off. I like to draw my lines on my pieces first, and then I will use this temporary adhesive spray, this 505, and I will spray a piece of foam that is out of my seam allowances onto the back of my piece and then quilt it. My favorite foam that I like to use is this Basel Sew-In Inner Foam. It is nice and dense. It's not very thick. It has a great feel to it, and I love the shape it gives my bags. It's not adhesive on either side. It's just a sew-in foam. So this is my favorite to use for bags. Everybody's different. You know, try different materials, see what works for you. But I just do a light spray of this and stick it on the back of my piece, and then I quilt it. After I'm done doing that, just like we did in the Annabelle, I am going to cut a woven interfacing piece the same size as this and sandwich it over my piece after I'm done quilting it. It just gives it a little bit extra. I love the shape it gives it. Again, just my preference. Everybody's different. So I like to do that on my 2 main pattern pieces. And then on my base, my favorite combination that I have done for this quilting is I will quilt it with the foam out of my seam allowance. And then I will add a piece of Decaville Light on top of that foam out of my seam allowance. I feel like that gives the bag the best shape for this style. And yeah. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I draw my lines on. We'll go over the machine, we'll quilt it, and then we'll sandwich the woven on top and the Decaville Light. And then I will do a separate tutorial sewing up this bag, pre-recorded, so you all can see it. Okay, let's get going. Okay, we're going to go over everything that I have here at my table to do this. So I have my 3 main exterior pieces, which you don't need to quilt all 3. If you wanted to just quilt the flap and back piece here, you could totally do that, but I'm going to do all 3. So I have my 3 main vinyl pieces. I went ahead and cut out my foam, and the foam is cut to the interfacing size, so it's out of my seam allowances, as you can see, like that. And then additionally, I did some adhesive woven interfacing like SF101 or Geeky Fuse, or there's so many different names for it. It's got glue on one side. So when I'm done quilting, I'm going to sandwich this on the back and press that on for the main flap and the front panel piece, okay? like that. And then I have one piece of Decaville Light cut out, and I will be putting that out of my seam allowances on top of the foam down the middle. All right, let's start drawing our pattern. Okay, so the biggest tip I have for quilting is consistency. You want to start drawing your lines in the same place on all three pieces. It'll just kind of make it all go really nicely together and match up, which is why I have my centers marked here. I'm going to actually start from this is my flap side. So I like this ruler the best when I am drawing my quilting lines on. It is a 3x18. It is a great size for drawing quilting lines. It's got, it's got your angles down here, your 45, 30, and 60. I go off of this 45-degree angle for the most part on almost all my bags. So I'm going to line up this 45-degree angle centered right there with the center of my piece. If I do that consistently on all three of my pieces, the lines will match up, okay? So that's how I'm going to start it. And I am doing my lines about 1.5 inches apart, okay? Which is why, again, I really love the 3-inch ruler, because I can do lines on both sides like that. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to go here. And then I'll go in the middle there. So this is, it's just a refill. It's a silver marking pen though. I just didn't put it back in a case at all after I grabbed a refill out. You can get them off of Amazon. I know lots of different mom and pop shops carry them now, so they are everywhere. Okay, so those are my lines going one way. Now, I'm going to lay my ruler the other way, and again, I'm going to center this little 45-degree circle right there and line up this line along the bottom centered. Just like that. So here's my 45-degree angle is along the bottom, and there's my center. So it's consistent on both sides. So when I go to do my front panel piece, I will start it the same place. And then all the quilting lines will kind of line up together. Hopefully, that's the hope. Now you can do any kind of design you want on this bag. You don't have to do 1.5 inch squares. You can do anything. Be creative. Do whatever you want. Okay, and the most important thing, another important thing about quilting, because I think I already said the most important thing, is when you use this silver marking pen, you really can't just go walk away and do something else and then come back. You need to hurry and go sew it and wipe it off, or else it will be permanent. This pen will stick to your material if you don't wipe it off within the next hour. Okay. So there's my main flap panel piece. And now I'm just going to repeat for the other ones. So I've got my top and bottom center marked. I'm going to take my ruler, 45-degree angle, centered at that center dot there. And now I'm going to do this side. And we're just repeating all of it. Okay, and now I want to take it this way. Centered, 45-degree angle, right there. Beautiful. Okay, last, oh, I didn't do a line right there. Oh, whoops. Make sure it's on. Yeah, okay. Beautiful. Last one, we have our gusset here. Okay, same idea. Here's my center. I'll line it up right down there. And we will do our gusset. Now, you don't have to quilt your gusset. I know that seems a little excessive, but it sure makes a cute bag. I really liked it, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, so I have all three of my pieces marked. I am now going to just put on the foam. All I'm going to do is take my spray. I'm going to do it away from me. I'm just going to do a layer on the back, and then I will put it onto the back of the piece. You don't need a lot. Like it just needs to be enough to hold it in place while you do your first few stitches, okay? So this should be about a 1/2 inch in from all your sides, just like that. Okay, and then I'll do this piece here. If you wanted to get really accurate, you could draw the lines on the back a 1/2 inch in. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, so there's 2, and then I just have to do the gusset here. You could just use some double-sided tape if you wanted to hold it down. Whatever works for you guys. You don't have to do it the exact same way I do it. But that's how I do it. Okay, so all 3 pieces have lines and foam. We're going to take this over to the machine. We're going to go ahead and sew all of these lines in. I'm going to use dark spruce thread, which is just a really, really dark green, grayish, almost black, but not quite. And so it pops on the black a little bit more than just a plain black would. But I'm going to take it over. I'll show you how I quilt the lines. And then we'll come and put the rest of the interfacing on after that. All right, here we are at the machine. I have a fresh bobbin. We are all good to go. Couple of things of when I quilt lines on a panel. I like to start kind of down the center. And I always start up at the same side and come back down. Start up, come back down. Start up here, come back down. If you go up and down, things might shift and your piece might lay weird. So make sure that you're starting and stopping the same direction each time. And I have my machine at about a 4 to 4.5. And I am using Text 70 bonded poly. This is the dark spruce that I sell on my website. I think that's it. All right, here we go. Now, you can backstitch at the beginning. You can not, and then just do a basting stitch around the outside edge. Totally up to you. I do both. So do whatever your heart desires. Now, and also some people like to do longer stitch length for quilting. They like to do maybe like a 4.5 or 5 even. So, and that part is just preference, just what you prefer. So there's no wrong or right way for that as well. All right, that looks good. So I could go a little bit longer on my stitch length if I wanted to, but since I started there, I'm just gonna stay there. All right, here we go. We're just gonna do this whole panel now. There is my panel all quilted. I'm going to get a wipe. You get like water wipes. Don't get wipes with additives and stuff. Look for water wipes. I like to do these ones. They're just from Amazon. And you want to mark all of that silver pen off, okay? Make sure you get it all good and clean. And then we will go to the next piece and we'll repeat. I'll do a different camera angle for the next one. Maybe that's helpful for some. And we'll just repeat for the next 2 pieces. clean this one, and then we'll do our last one. Okay, last one, here we go. All right. I am going to wipe the pen markings off of this piece, and then I'm going to take this back over to my cut interfacing area, and I am going to press on the woven and the Decaville, and then we'll be done. And then we'll be ready to sew up this awesome bag. So, yeah. Okay, we're over here at the heat press. I have it at 300 because I have to do a little hotter temperature for the woven pieces. So I'm going to take my main flat panel piece. I'm going to put the vinyl side down away from the heat. You don't ever want to lay your piece with the vinyl side up. Okay, and then I'm just putting my woven right on top, so the glue side is down on my piece. And then super important when you're using a heat press and vinyl, Teflon sheets. You can even double it up if you want to, but protect that vinyl with your Teflon sheets. And whoa, press it. I do about 10 seconds. I'll open it. I'll probably flip my piece around and press it again just to make sure it all got evenly heated. Sometimes, you know, that's enough. I'm going to do it one more time this way. And then I will baste the edges as well, just to make sure it all stays in place. So I'll do that with the other one too. And then we'll add the Decaville, and then we're done. And then we're ready to make the bag. Okay, I'll trim all of this down, obviously, and then I'll baste it. But pretty much that's what it is. That's how I quilt my bags, guys. This combo has worked the best for me. If you have a combo that you love, that you want me to know about, I would love to hear it. I love different ideas and trying different things. I don't think there is one way to do something, especially in bag making. There are so many different ways that you can interface and put things together and combine that I love to hear all of them. Okay. I love this new heat press, by the way. It is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. All right, so there's my bottom panel piece. And then I just have my gusset piece left here. And I like to do the Decaville on this one. You could do just the woven on it if you wanted to, but I feel like the Decaville really gives it an awesome shape. It really does. And if you have lighter vinyl, if you're using lighter vinyl, you could also do a layer of woven on top of this in your seam allowances. I think it wouldn't be too much. I think it would still be okay. But this is how I have done it. It is what works for me. And yeah. I'm just going to turn that. Give it one more little press. It's probably good. All right, and we're done. Beautiful. Okay, we're all done. I went ahead and trimmed my interfacing down, and I gave it a basting stitch along the edges just to hold everything in place on these two pieces. And that's it, guys. That is how I quilt a bag. Hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, there's more than one way to do this, so just find the techniques that work for you and go for it. I think quilting is such a fun thing to add to the bag, and it really makes it look a little bit more upscale. So try it if you haven't. I will link all the materials I use down below in the description so it's easy to find. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't. After this video is posted, I will be doing a pre-recorded tutorial for the Char Char. It is my pattern. You can purchase it on my website. I will link it in the description as well. And I hope you guys found this helpful. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.